Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Starting.
Everyone's coming in.
Yep, seeing that gallery view fill up.
Awesome. Hi, guys. Welcome.
Oh, I'm already seeing some names I recognize from the emails.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Let's see your cowls. If you have them, hold them up. Let's see. Oh, it's looking awesome. Oh, my goodness.
See the blue and the, oh, wow, I see holding up
Multiple
the three.
Amazing. Let us know where you're coming in from as we're getting everybody in. You can write in the chat where you're coming in from, or how many cowls you've made, or if this is your first knit along with us, we want to see.
Or your second.
Yes.
An OG, just kind of knit longer. Just penning that too. We see you have some Florida, California, Wisconsin.
Awesome.
San Diego,
Texas.
my first, and I'm a bit behind. That's totally fine. I'm excited for the ones that haven't started yet, just because today is going to be a big one. I feel like a lot of people have been asking for what we're going to cover today.
Absolutely. Good morning, good afternoon.
Yes. So first, Tennessee, just about to start finish my second. Oh, awesome. It's coming in fast. Minnesota, New Hampshire. Aww. Oh, I see a shout out for Lily.
Awesome.
All right, I think we can get started. How many people do we have? Yes. Does anyone have a number right now?
We're about almost 50.
Oh my 50. Goodness.
Okay, I think that's fair to start. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my name is Jaja. If you've been here before, oh yes, I should spotlight. Let's do that first. Thank you, Margaret.
Gotcha.
I'm Jaja. I'm the customer service manager, and today I'm going to be co-hosting with Margaret from our marketing team.
Hi, everybody.
We're also joined in the back end by Lily, our customer service coordinator, who has helped with a lot of the one-on-one project helps and the emails, and just definitely a Bandana Cowl master, I feel like, at this point. Jessica, our warehouse operations senior specialist, who also doubles as a customer service specialist, so she helps on both ends. And Gianna, who used to help on the customer service team, but has moved on to the design team, but she's still helping us out here today. And we're really grateful to have you guys. Thank you so much for helping.
Thank you, guys.
Yes. And so Margaret, you are co-hosting today for the first time. I know you helped out a lot last time where you were showing one of the swatch, well, not one, few of the swatches. How are you feeling today?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. It's awesome. This is a great opportunity for me. I love seeing everyone's cowls and getting some hands-on knitting time with everybody. These bandana cowls are such quick and fun knits, and they're so easy to personalize and customize. So each cowl you make, you could try out a new skill or make it personalized for someone on your gift list, perhaps. But we're excited to talk about all the ways to customize them and make them extra special for your whole gift list. So we're going to talk about that more today.
Yes, gift list is a good thing to mention, because I feel like I never start this early. Usually it's like I have plenty of time and I think about what I want in it, very ambitious. Then December comes around and I realize I also have to mail these out. So
right.
I feel like I've already got 3 done myself. How many have you done?
I'm almost done with my 3rd. Yep, about to cast off.
Yeah, I feel like there are a lot of people on the team like Gianna who's made like 6, 7, 8. Like at this point, a lot of emails that have made 8 already. I can't go that fast, but kudos to you. And I've just been seeing so much inspiration on Instagram in particular, and the landing page on the website. And there are just so many that I thought I was done. And now I'm like, oh, I kind of want to try this color combination. I didn't even think of this one. So it's very tempting to cast on for another. I'm not sure when I'll tap out, but I'm definitely feeling inspired by those pages.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you guys have had a chance to browse our landing page or the hashtag Purl Soho KAL on Instagram, we've been seeing some really cool cowls, and we wanted to share a few right at the beginning just to get some inspiration going. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and let's see. Can you guys see the cowls that we have here? This one is by Stitches and Chill. And we love the duplicate stitch design that they did at the top and bottom of the cowl, and their white one, and then the contrasting gray cowl, just so special and fun. The next one is by Beth Bear, and she did a monogram initial for the letter J. We love the extra stripes too to kind of highlight the monogram. It's just like perfect. We love it. The next one we're so excited about. This is by the Jewel Knitter on Instagram. She did a little mouse variation with a little tiny pom-pom for the nose. It's so cute. We're absolutely obsessed with this one. I know, Shasha, you love this one so much.
I know, I think this is my favorite.
Yeah. And then the last one is by B. Duyan. And this is just another way to incorporate duplicate stitch into a new design. We're going to talk about that more today, but I just thought these would be such fun to share.
Yes.
There we go.
Oh man, thank you for sharing those. I can't wait to see more. Maybe we'll share more next time. But if you were here the last time, I know I don't know who was here not last time, but regardless, last time, just to catch you guys up, we went over plenty different yarn choices and why plenty is probably the best choice for this cowl. We also went over how to join in the round, and we went over the S2KP, so you could see how to decrease in the middle and just how you get that point. Today, we're going to go over the short rows. That's probably the biggest thing we're going to cover. It's the most popular question. We're going to be covering both the wraps and turns and the German short rows in detail from that point exactly, not a small swatch, the whole swatch. We're also going to talk about stripes, how to also try joggle stripes, duplicate stitch, which we saw a lot in those really pretty customized cowls, and finally, how to cast off purlwise loosely. And of course, if you guys have any questions in the chat, we're gonna collect them. If there's some I see that are really are good to answer at a certain time, we'll get to them then. But at the end, we'll have a Q&A session, and then after that, we'll have show and tell again.
Awesome. And just a reminder, we are recording this meeting, so if you don't wish to be a part of that, you can turn your camera off and mute yourself so that we can have this available for people who can't join us live. But let's get started. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to start with wraps and turns. So I'm going to turn on over to my document camera. So I have a swatch ready. And this, I'm going to go up a little bit more so you can see. At this point, I've done the border, the garter stitch border. You can see it's all the way around. If you pull, you can see the S2KP, which is kind of denoted by this almost stockinette stitch with a little extra layer on the background because you decrease 2 at a time there. And so what we're going to be doing is this is the beginning of round marker, knitting all the way around to just past this little point right here. And what we're going to be doing after that, we're going to wrap and turn, go backwards, set up a wrap and turn here, go back to this wrap and turn that I'm going to make. I'm going to pick up the wrap, go a little past it, create a new one, and go right back, pick this one up, go a little past, and then back and forth. And then you'll start to see how these short rows form and create that point all the way around. We're not going to go all the way, but I'm just going to start from there. Let's get started.
Doing it this way helps to center these short rows over the S2KP line, which adds the perfectly triangular point of the bandana.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Since I am starting from the very beginning, I already cut a few. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're following the instructions, the first thing it asks you to do is for the wraps and turns, knit 42 wrap and turn. So we're going to do the 42. Just as a heads up, I am a continental knitter. I feel like a lot of people, at least at Purl Soho, our tutorials are in English. So you're going to see people working with holding their working yarn with the right hand. I just hold mine with the left. That's the only difference. And I am going to count. So, not to interrupt somebody when they're counting. So give me one moment. I timed this out, just so you know, it's only going to take about 1 minute and 30 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This is really awkward.
That's okay. Well, while Jaja counts, I was going to say, this is technically the first short row because you're only working a portion of the stitches in the round. So any round where you're only working a selection of stitches in the round is a short row because you aren't working all the stitches. So that's why, although this is different than the upcoming short rows, this helps position the beginning of the short row shaping so that the next short row where you purl 3, you can kind of grow from there and add more and more stitches as you go on. Looks like she's almost there. It should bring you right to the other side of the S2KP, so you should be ready to start there. She's almost there. Go, Jaja.
So 41 is the middle point, the S2KP, and 42. Yep. So it will bring you exactly one to the left, like one stitch to the left of the S2KP. It is time. So looking at this, we're going to wrap and turn. So when you are on the right side, we're on the right side, you can always see, if you're ever confused, you'll see it look like these V's on the S2KP. If you're looking backwards, it's going to look like, you know, the purl side, not as pretty. Unless you're into pearls. I like pearls. I think it's pretty. So I'm going to be reading off the actual instructions in real time so you can kind of see. Sorry about that. So on the right side, keeping yarn in back, I like to think of that as if to knit, basically. You already have your yarn in the back. Let me bring it down. Slip next stitch purlwise from left needle to right needle. So we're going to just slip purlwise and we pop it on. So we have a little slip stitch here and we're still in the back. The next step is going to bring yarn to front. So we just pop it in the front, almost like it was purl. Next, we're going to return slip stitch to left needle. You just pop it on like this, and we're turned. And this is the part that's a little weird, but not really weird if you just see it like this slowly. Bring yarn to back. This right here is a wrap stitch. So really all we did is just kind of bring it from the knit side, purl side, wrapped it around. And then turn work so wrong side is facing you. Now what I like to do here, it does not say it in the pattern, but I like to add a stitch marker because it can be a little hard to see, especially if you're working with a darker color, which is the wrap stitch. So I like to put it right here so I remember when I come back to it to pick it up, this is going to be the wrap stitch. And that is that row. So the next row, next partial row, says short row 2, wrong side, purl 3, wrap and turn. So all we're going to do is purl 3. 1, just making sure I'm centered. 2, 3. And we're going to wrap and turn. So on the wrong side, what we're going to do, sorry, I moved it. Keeping yarn in front because you just purled, we're going to slip this stitch purlwise. I'm going to bring the yarn to the back. Basically, you want it to the opposite of what you were doing. You're going to return the slip stitch to this needle, bring the yarn to front, and you're wrapped again. So I'm going to put another stitch marker so I don't forget. Now, turn work, so right side is facing you. So we have 2 stitches, wrap stitches evenly right around this center point. Now, short row 3, knit to wrap stitch, knit wrap stitch with its wrap, knit 1. So this is the part I think some people are forgetting to knit it together. And so Margaret has a swatch to show you afterwards of what it's going to look like if you forget to knit this together. But I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So knit to wrap stitch. I'm just going to knit 3. You can see this. I like to remove the marker for now. Now this almost, I like to think of it as like a knit 2 together. When you're on the knit side, you like to approach it from the front. So I go right here. This is the wrap where I went all the way around. I'm going to go into this hole here. I'm going to knit those two together. Take it off the needle. So I've just worked it. I've knit the wrap stitch with its wrap. That's how you do that. Next step is to knit one. And we're going to wrap and turn again. And so the reason we do that is we're going to keep going on either side by one. You're not going to wrap every stitch. You're going to work one, knit one, wrap the next one. So you're kind of working in multiples of threes. So I'm just going to do this one again, a little more quickly. Bring it to the front, put it back on, pull it to the back. This is where I flip it. Once I flip it, that's when I like to put my stitch marker back on so that I don't forget. And then short row 4, purl to wrap stitch. Sorry, I sing a lot when I'm knitting. It's so quiet that I'm just kind of like, I can't help myself. But
knitting one stitch after the knitting the wrapped stitch with its wrap helps to create progressively longer short rows so that you're incorporating all the stitches around, making your way to the beginning of round marker, like around the cowl.
Very good. And we're going to start to see those first few ones are really engaging because it starts increasing so quickly.
Yeah.
You lose a little steam afterwards, but you get so used to it. So this one, again, it's a little hard to see. That's why I like the stitch marker. But if you really pick it up, you can see that wrap is right here. On the purl side, I like to, should bring it to the front so that's easier. I like to bring it forward a little bit so I can see. Sorry, let me autofocus. You can see it better here. I'm going to lift it from the back onto the needle. And you're going to purl two together. And so it leaves this little like lump in the back, but since it's on the wrong side, you're not going to see or feel that. And then the end of short row 4, after I purled wrap stitch with this wrap, which is what I just did, you purl 1. That's that stitch in between, and we're going to wrap and turn again. So yarn is in the front, slip, bring it to the back, slip it back, bring it to the front.
I like to think of it as putting a scarf around the bottom of the stitch.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Just kind of like,
or a cowl. Might that be a little more topical?
Little cowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of going a little, just making a loop around it.
Yep. You wrap and then you turn.
Okay.
Exactly.
And so we can start to see already this middle section is getting a little stockinette stitch. So I'm going to do that one more time. And one thing I wanted to note is that it says repeat short rows 3 and 4 18 more times. What I like to do personally is I like to get a little tally or marker. I have my notebook. This one's not fully written up, but usually I'll just do something like SR. Oh, wow, this is orange. Pretty, so you can really see it. SR3, SR4. And every time I do one of these repeats, I like to mark it off. And so I'll do that real quick and then you'll see. So I'm going to do one more and then we'll do the German short rows.
You'll also know that if you've done all the wrap and turns or all the German short row double stitches, you'll know you're done and have completed all the repeats by the time you get to the beginning of round marker, when all the stitches have been worked.
Yes, so as you keep doing each one, this marker is going to keep moving back and back and back. And by the end of the 18, you'll get all the way here.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna do one more. So I'm gonna grab some water. Okay. So we're just repeating short rows 3 and 4 because each time we are going to pick up the wrap, work a stitch, and then make a new wrap basically. So we're going to do that right now. So I'm not counting anymore. I'm just working until that marker. So I'm gonna knit. Whoop. Come to this wrap stitch, slide them off. We have this down here. That's the one. Work it together, that knit two together. This one's a little tricky because it's weird. You don't put it onto the needle, but it's off. Work that next stitch so that we spread further outwards. And then we're just gonna wrap and turn. And on the purl side, put your marker back on, purl to that marker. Again, we will be recording this so that if you want to view it later, in case you forget, you can reference it then. Take this off from the back, pop it onto the needle, purl two together, lift off, work this next stitch, purling it, and one more wrap and turn. And there we go. So it can feel a little cumbersome, but now you can see just how many more. I'm going to knit one more just because I don't like to leave it right there where I just the marker can fall off. I'll knit one. So that was one repeat, and so I'm going to go back and I'm just going to put 1 1, and then when I get to, you know, eventually I will have 18. When I have 18 here, it's like total. I think some people were thinking it was 18 just like each. Well, it's supposed to be 18 each. So that's 5, 10. This is not how you would do it, but I'm just showing you how I would do it. So 5, 10, 15, 18. Once you get to this point, you should be back at the beginning of round marker. And how do we access the recordings? Sorry, I'm seeing that question a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, thank you, Gianna. Yes, we will be uploaded to YouTube. I feel like it takes about a week to edit. Would you say that, Margaret?
Week or so.
Yeah, and then we'll talk about this again later, but if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, then you'll get a little notification when that goes up. So let's take a look now. Already we have, it's much longer. It's gone further out, so we can just kind of see how the short rows bridge out towards the back. And by the end of it, you'll have it all the way around. So we can look at a finished one here where I've basically done this point. I'm just going to keep doing that until it goes and reaches the back. So this is the end of the short rows when you reach this point. All right, gonna move on to the German short rows. Any questions on the wraps and turns before I move on though? I'm just gonna look at the chat real quick.
I'll take a peek too.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're good to go on.
Wow, okay, great, that's great. Okay, so next up, we're gonna do the German short rows. A lot of people like the German short rows more, just because you don't have to keep track as much. And I feel like it's a lot easier to spot the little legs. So I don't use stitch markers when I do the German short rows. So this pattern is really nice because it includes a separate section, so you don't have to modify or anything like that. And so instead of knitting 42 stitches, it asks you to knit 43. So I've saved you guys the time on this second swatch. So I've already knit from the beginning of round marker 43 stitches. And 43 gets you 2 stitches past the S2KP. And that is because you are going to work this stitch instead. So the first step in the instructions for the, I'm going to read off of this one as I'm doing it too, just in case you're following along. Sure, 1 second, I have minutes. You're going to make a double stitch. So on the right side, turn work so wrong side is facing you. So you're not going to slip this stitch. Oops, sorry. You're not going to slip this stitch. You're just going to go ahead and go to the wrong side first. Turn work so it's facing you. Slip one stitch to right needle with yarn in front. So your yarn's already going to be in front because you are about to purl. So you can just slip this. And then you're going to pull it over tightly. And when you pull it over, you'll see these bottom stitches, almost like little legs. I think of them as like pants that you're just kind of lifting up so you can see. You're going to pull it over so it's nice and tight and it's tugged. And it looks like 2 stitches, this single stitch. Then you're going to bring the yarn around back. So you had to pull it up in order to get this, and you're going to pull it back to the front. Oops, sorry, back to the front. Then forward, passing it. So then we can just continue purling. We're gonna, and this one, sorry, I'm just checking. So this was the making the double stitch. So this is short row 1 on the German short rows. I knit 43 stitches and I made a double stitch. Then in short row 2, I'm going to purl 4 and make a double stitch. So I'm going to go 1.
The reason why you're working 1 extra stitch in German short rows than you would in wrap and turns is because the stitch that would be wrapped and turned is the double stitch in German short rows.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I purled 4. And so now I'm going to make another double stitch. So the way you do this on the purl side is you're going to turn work again. So we're on the knit side now. We're going to bring the yarn to front, which I already kind of had it since I was about to knit. And you're going to slip the stitch. So this is the one you would have slipped before. It's just kind of one earlier. It's kind of different. You're going to pull it up. See those legs? Oop. Gotta really pull this one up.
This one's always wonky for me, but I just make it work.
I find this one a little more difficult because you're not going to bring it to the front. You're just going to keep knitting. So you really want this one a little tight and snug. And you're going to knit. But for short row 3, you knit 2 double stitch. So we're going to do that. But I'll show you what I mean by it's a lot more easy to find it because you got the little legs sticking up. Oh, there we go. We're already there. So it's like this. It's really tight. And we're going to knit these 2 stitches together. Now, when I was first doing this, I wasn't sure, like, do I do it around here or do I do it around the legs, like around the hole? I like to do it right. I like to see, I want to make sure I really get close. Let me autofocus 1 second. There we go. So I like to do it here to make sure that nothing falls off. I said that. You want to make sure this part is visible.
Yeah, almost like a knit 2 together.
Yeah, it's we want to knit 2 together again. So I'm going to try and find it. There we go. Sorry, I'm like looking at this. Can you let me know, Margaret, if I'm on this right screen? Can you see?
Oh, you're perfect.
Okay.
Go for it.
There we go. And we're going to knit these 2 together. It falls to the back, the little lump. And then we're going to just double checking what short row 3 says, knit double stitch as a single stitch, which is basically a knit 2 together, knit 2, make double stitch. So we're going to knit 1, 2, and we're going to do this again. So now we're on short row 3, which is the one where we're going to be repeating it after this. Oh, sorry, I'm just looking at the question. The direction you slip onto the needle is really important. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So just going to turn work. Then we slip. A little loose, but that's okay. We're going to tighten it up. Almost like a little wedgie. Lifting those legs.
There you go.
Back. Or bring it back to the front, and we just purl. I'm going to purl to that double stitch again. This one's the one that was pretty wonky. I feel like it's a little easier to see on this side where it is.
Absolutely.
And similarly, we're going to purl these two together. So I'm going to pick that up right there. Wrap it. Pull it off. And then we're going to purl two. It's two instead of one, like the wraps and turns.
Yep.
And do the same thing again. Flip. I'm just going to do this one more time. Sorry, we want this to the front. All right, I'm going to slip. Pull it up. Keep it towards the back and knit. Knit to the stitch.
It might be losing you, Jaja. Let's see. Let's see. She'll come back. Let's see. There we go.
Can you not see me?
Yep, we can see you now. You're good. Cut out for a
Ooh,
second,
okay.
but you're back. You're all good.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm like having trouble admittedly seeing this one, like where to go, because it's like right here and right here. You always want to make sure you have two.
Yep.
All right. And then I would work. I'm just going to work one more and just kind of stop there. All right. And so looking at it, we've got this little stockinette again, but I think it'll be more clear on Margaret's swatch because you're further along on yours to see the difference between how they look. So if you want to share your screen, Margaret.
Let me switch around real quick and switch this one.
Cynthia Johnson had a question. I thought you knit through the legs of the wrap, not the middle. That's actually, I just wanted to double check. How do you feel about that? Because I feel like I was doing the legs.
Yeah, you would knit the two loops together on your needle as they exist. So to me, they kind of look like an X. The double stitch looks like an X, and you would knit through that X. So it is like as if two stitches got overlapped, and you just knit through both of those together on your needle for the double stitch to like, knit the double stitch.
So sorry, so was I doing it right? I think I was doing the one below.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
I think you
absolutely, sure. I'll
show thank you, Margaret.
You got it. I'm working in garter stitch here, but that's all right. So we're gonna
unspotlight mine real quick.
Gonna make a little on the fly pattern here, everybody. Okay, so flip, make this double stitch, yank on that, and then I'll just start purling. Then, let's see, just for the sake of demonstration, let's switch this guy over, pull him over, and then make our double stitch. Then, as you get up to the double stitch.
Can you bring yours a little lower? There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Thanks, guys. Okay, so this is the X on your needles. It looks kind of silly. It looks kind of weird. We're going to just knit these two together just like that to help resolve the double stitch. And that'll fall. It'll have kind of a shadow behind it. It'll look a little silly in the back, but that's all right. That's why it's in the back. and everything will be fine on the right side here. So
gotcha. So yes, sorry, on mine I was definitely doing the legs below, but you want to do it closer to the needles, the ones that Margaret just did.
absolutely, yeah. So I have a swatch here of, I actually have multiple swatches, but I'll explain those in a second. This one is German short rows. So you can see that they're pretty invisible, where you just start adding more stitches into your short rows. Then along the back, we have where you can see the double stitches happened. Comparing against wrap and turns, they look virtually the same. It is the same idea, adding more stitches each time for a, to shape the bandana point. On the back, they look similar as well, with the little bumps along the way when you resolve the double stitches or wrap and turns. However, if you decide to not pick up the wraps for the wrap and turns, you get to a point where you have these little bars around the stitches, because these are the wraps. So I think it looks just fine personally if you don't do that. However, it does look more clean if you knit the wraps with the stitches. But if you decide to not knit the wraps with the stitches, I would say just be consistent, and then it'll all look intentional. Everything will be fine and no one will know. So that's just to compare and contrast. Again, this is German short rows, wrap and turns where you don't pick up the wraps. So just to help, there's a big decision which short row you're going to do, but it'll all turn out the same no matter what you choose. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the difference is a lot more noticeable if you're doing something like socks. I feel like you see less holes if you're doing the German short rows, but on something as thick as the bandana cowl and just the way it kind of just naturally fills in, I feel like it's not as noticeable in the plenty.
Yeah, definitely, especially with blocking, it'll really poof up and fill in for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just thought that would be good to show.
Yes,
thank
you.
Thank you. I think next we're gonna have Jaja talk about stripes.
Yes, so let me go back and spotlight myself.
Here we go.
I'm gonna still this. I'm gonna swap the samples real quick. So we have a few different striped versions already. In the pattern, we have the transitional stripe, which I tried out, and then there's the Breton stripes, which has more of them over here. But one of the things I want to show you on a finished version is just what it looks like on the inside and the outside. So one of the first things is that when you usually finish the short rows, there tends to be a hole in the middle. But I noticed when I was doing the color change one, the hole was significantly more noticeable. Like I could really stretch it out. If you were here for the last session, the first one I did, you couldn't really see it as much. So it's like, there's really not the same kind of hole. So it's something you can easily cinch up at the end when you've got your tails, because again, your tails are going to be right at the beginning here. You can tighten it and just sew it together. But you'll also see this little jog, we like to call it, where the thing is when you're knitting in the round, you're actually knitting on a spiral. So that's why the color changes in 1-to-1 right where you join at the beginning of the round. I still like it. I think it's pretty. If you don't like it, we're going to talk about a way to get around that. But I also want to show you just inside out what it looks like on the inside as you're carrying your yarn. So upside down. Ideally, what you want to do is, I'm going to show you how to lock it in place so that you get this little faux seam and that it keeps it in place. Thank you, Gianna, for putting the tutorial in the chat. So we're going to talk about how to actually do this on a bigger sample. So I have some super soft merino. It's very big. I'm going to show you. This is eggshell blue and peachy pink, but I feel like it's more of an orange than pink.
I guess that's why it's peachy.
Yes. peachy orange. There we go. So this is an example where similarly, I can show you the inside. I like to show the inside first. But as you're carrying it up, it's almost like if you've ever worked color work before, you want to trap the floats, and you're going to kind of trap these around the seam. So the standard way to do this, I'm about to finish a row. I just finished working with the glue, so I'm going to knit this last one. Move my marker. And all you have to do is take your working yarn and put it under the yarn you're going to work with next. Pull it to the back. And you're just going to continue knitting with it. I like to, since I'm a continental knitter, I kind of like to hold it here to the right and hold it here. And you don't want to knit this too tight. You might be tempted to knit it really tight, but you just want to knit it like how you normally would knit so that you don't get ladders. And you would just keep on knitting. So I'm going to go around once. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to go around once because I want to show the difference between the jog, and that could take time. This is all shown in the tutorial that Gianna is linking to, and it's much easier there, but I just wanted to show in relation to the KAL how it works. If you do not want those jogs, there is another option. So I tested it here first to give you an idea. This one starts with the jog where I just tried it regularly like I just showed you. But if you have 2 or 3 or more stripes, you basically are just going to slip this first stitch instead of working with it. And it kind of creates this illusion of it all being one stripe. But really how you get that illusion is just this little slip stitch, which is going to be a little bigger. So it's going to look a little poofy, but after you block it, it should look a little more evened out. Like if you straighten it, you can kind of see. And so if you do want a jogless stripe, all you do is the same thing. Oh, sorry, I live near an airport. Here we go. So you're going to take the one that you previously worked with. You're going to wrap it all the way around so that you're keeping it in place. So basically the same step. And instead of working this, you're going to slip this first stitch purlwise. And then you would just continue knitting with your new color. And so what this does is create this look. Now I tested it and I noticed it's just a lot better if you're doing 2 or even 3 stripes. I feel like 3 stripes is when it was the most noticeable and worth it. So I would recommend just doing it honestly for the cowl, just a regular, just the jog. But again, if you want to try it again, you can double check the tutorial. So those are stripes.
Awesome. Thank you, Jaja.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Let's see. I'm going to add a spotlight here. So next we're going to talk about duplicate stitch. So this is a great tool to have in your toolbox for when you want to add an initial to your cowl or design or something like that. So let me switch to my document camera here. Now, there are many ways to choose your design. If you'd like to do intarsia or stranded colorwork, you can. However, we found that duplicate stitch would be much better because you don't have to worry about carrying the yarn around in floats around your cowl or navigating multiple bobbins using intarsia. It's also great for navigating the short rows because when you have the short rows trying to do stripes back and forth, that's a lot going on at once. So it would be much easier to come back later and do duplicate stitch. So to choose which color yarn you'd like to use for duplicate stitch, you want to choose one that has high contrast. So let me share my screen real quick. And I have some pictures here. There's our cowls again. Of plenty. This is night blue and laurel leaf. And what you can do is do the picture trick where you take a picture of the 2 colors next to each other, and then you turn it into black and white using a black and white filter to see if the 2 colors next to each other have a lot of contrast. These 2 colors really don't contrast well enough against each other. I wouldn't choose these for duplicate stitch. I wouldn't choose the laurel leaf against the night blue, for example. However, these 2 colors, laurel leaf and golden green, have much higher contrast, as you can see in the black and white photo. So they'd really, really pop and be a great accent color.
That's so cool. I haven't tried that before.
Yeah, it's a great trick to have. So when you want to create your design, we do have a tutorial that Gianna just put in the chat that has every initial that you would like to do, all the letters of the alphabet, if you want to do a monogram. Or I recommend using graph paper to chart out your own design. I've done a heart here. And this is a great idea because now you have something physical to lay over your cowl and kind of place, you know, figure out where you'd like it to be. So do you want the heart down here? Do you want the heart up here? Things like that. It's also fun if you can cut out pieces of graph paper and maybe put little hearts all over the place, things like that. This is also helpful to help count out all of your stitches so that you can kind of create a chart based off of your stitches in your cowl. And then to help make sure it's centered, you can reference the S2KP line as your middle column of stitches. I put a stitch marker here on that column to help mark it, but that just might be great to reference if you are trying to center your design and make sure that it will fit. You can also use removable stitch markers around the sides and the top, for example, if you're doing like a square, circle, heart, monogram, whatever. That way you can make sure you don't go outside the perimeter of the stitches. So now a little demonstration. I have some partridge here in blue, just for high contrast, right? And then this is a swatch and compo just to help show. When doing duplicate stitch, you want to look at the stitches as if they were the letter A instead of the letter V. So a lot of times when knitting, you look at stitches in a V shape. We're going to be looking at them as if they're A shape like this. So you're going to take your needle and insert it at the top of an A, right there. Then pull it through. After that, you're going to be looking, okay, so this stitch is the stitch that we're duplicating right here. I've kind of threaded it on my needle. We're going to be inserting our needle below, in the stitch below the stitch that we're duplicating. And pull it through. And this will help create one leg of the stitch. Then we're going to take our tapestry needle, put it back up in the top, and we're going to go just down one bar. Right here, you can kind of see the bar to go down to the point of the next A. And then we'll pull that through. Because this is the first one, it looks a little wonky, but that's okay. So now you have the first stitch duplicated. To do that again, we're going to be duplicating this stitch right here. So we're going to go below and thread that A stitch on our needle, then pull it through. And then do the same thing again. We're going to go back up into the point of the A where we came out last time and go down by one stitch. And then you just keep going. This tends to get fluffy and you can smooth it out a bunch with blocking. That really, really helps doing this before blocking. And as you go, you can adjust the tension to make sure that the stitches are as loose or as tight as you need them to be. And then you're all set. You're ready to go. Just keep going. And then at the end, you can, let's see here, thread your working yarn back through. Let's come out the back here. You can thread it through your stitches as you normally would to help hide that tail and just trim it. So there you go. All right.
Duplicate stitch.
That's duplicate stitch, yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually planning on doing this when I finish the gift cows. I want to make a personal one where I'm going to try a watermelon motif.
Oh, how fun.
Because you can just place them randomly. They don't have to be all together.
Yeah.
So you can really customize things, which is really nice.
Absolutely. And taking the inspiration from the cowls we saw earlier in the meeting, I mean, the opportunities are endless here. All right, next we're going to be talking about how to bind off purlwise specifically so that it can be loose and fit over your head, right? That's the goal here. So this is just a regular stockinette swatch, where we have a traditional long tail cast on and then normal bind off. The bind off is not very stretchy. The cast on is much more stretchy. So to help make sure that this edge is more stretchy, there are a few tricks. One of them is to use a larger needle than you normally would, because when you're threading your needle through the stitch, the needle is sizing that new stitch for you. That this needle is almost like a ring sizer in jewelry. Like you're using it to create the new stitch at a new size. So using a larger needle, I'm going to wrap my yarn around as I would purlwise. And then to help make it even looser, I'm not going to tension the yarn with my pinky like I normally would. I'm just going to let it hang. This will take a little longer because it'll feel different and it's not how you normally do it, but it'll help make this extra loose. Then we're going to purl the next stitch as you would normally. And then slide this stitch over the first stitch. We're not going to pull on this at all here. We're just going to leave it as loose as can be. And then we're just going to keep doing that. Using this larger needle will help create a much looser edge. And there we go. And make it so that your cowl will fit over your head. I think Jaja was going to mention something about choosing the correct bind off to do, and if you're going to run out of yarn chicken, I'm going to run out of yarn in a game of yarn chicken. Let's see.
Yes, I can pin myself again.
Awesome. There we go.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So one thing we wanted to talk about was last time I mentioned that I did not do my gauge swatch. So I went ahead and started with the US 10, and I noticed as I was getting close to the end that I was running out of yarn. And so I took out one of the knitting rounds, the knitting even and stockinette towards the end, because I didn't want to take it out of the garter section, just because you want it to be that full amount, the 4 rows, 4 rounds. And so with a US 10 and taking out that one, last time I showed, this is about how much I had left. So it came pretty tight. So I went ahead and went down to a 9 for the next one. And I was able to do everything as written, and I had plenty left over.
Awesome.
So I just wanted to show the difference. So make sure you do your gauge swatch so you don't have to go through a whole one, but also just, I can fit the US 9 over my head just fine, and it actually met gauge. So you'll still reach that. So it's good to do the gauge swatch.
Absolutely. Gauge
So
is so
you
important.
don't have to modify the pattern. But if something happens and you went ahead with the 10 and it's a little too tight, you can do what I did and just take out one of the, I recommend around the last 2 rows of just knitting even and stockinette. Just taking out one, you should have enough.
If you so happen to have an extra tight bind off edge and you want something super stretchy, Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off is something we have tried. I made a swatch here. This is a long tail cast on, and Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. You can see how flared this is. So that'll really impact the shape of your cowl. However, if your top concern is fitting it over your head or, making it super stretchy, you can use your favorite search engine to find a tutorial for Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off and go crazy. So just wanted to list that as an option. It does tend to look, I think it looks just fine with garter stitch. This bind off includes a yarn over in between each stitch, so this does use more yarn. So if you're losing yarn chicken, maybe this isn't the best, but just wanted to mention that as well.
Yes. So there is a chance it may flare out. I think that's one thing that when I did this one, since I saw I had so much, I was being really generous with purling loosely when I was casting off. And so I'm going to put it on real quick and kind of show you how it was flaring a little. Hold on. But it's folding over, I've noticed, because it's so loose at the top. So it's doing this instead.
Which still looks awesome.
I kind of like it though.
Yeah.
It kind of gives it a little more of a little style. So if you want the extra flared edge to fold it over, that's another look that you can go for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna keep it just depends. It's a little chilly.
It just depends on how much flare you want at the top. I think a normal binding off purlwise is just fine, but if you want something extra stretchy, that's a recommendation.
All right, so I think it's time for the Q&A section. I meant to answer more questions as we were doing it throughout, but I think since this one was so demonstration heavy, we didn't really have a time to look, so we're gonna look at those now. And if there's
Awesome.
something that I missed, let us know, and then we'll try and see if we have enough time to get to those.
Yeah, send in your questions.
Okay, so the first one, knitted one, want to knit one for my very small dog. Any advice or pointers? So we've been seeing a lot of them on Instagram. I know Juliana wanted to try one for her cat, but she's not with us today. So it's something we wanted to talk about, but we didn't think we had enough time to fit into this session. So we're going to see if we can talk next time about how to make modifications for size.
Yeah, the basic.
We'll leave that for a future.
Absolutely. The premise basically.
No, you can talk to
me,
Margaret. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was just gonna say you want to do a gauge swatch when changing to a different size. Measure your stitches per inch. Measure your desired finished circumference, and then do some calculations there to figure out your cast on amount. And then there'll also be some adjustments to make for the decreases, but they're pretty easy to navigate. It's just a little bit more math. So.
Yeah, and if you want help with that sooner rather than later, you can email us at either customerservice@purlsoho.com or knit-along@purlsoho.com. And if you let us know the measurements you want, we can help guide you more thoroughly.
Absolutely.
Dogs come in all sizes.
Yes.
Will someone show the back of a cowl? Is that where the short rows begin? And I should have shown that there, but I think I sort of went over that. So
I can show
just showing the back of the cowl. Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Margaret. Yes, if you want to
short
talk
rows
about that one.
And right here at the top. This is this line right here. From here down is the short rows. So short rows are entirely responsible for shaping the point of the bandana, whereas the rounds are responsible for shaping the cowl of the cowl, the tube of the cowl. So this is short rows are a way to add extra stitches and extra fabric to a portion of the stitches in a round. So that's why only some of the stitches are created by the or are lengthened by the short rows.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Yes. You guys sent me a drawing of how this would be organized, and I found it really helpful. Perhaps you can post it here too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, can you put pictures in chat? Can we?
I'm not sure.
That? If not, then you might have to email us at customerservice@purlsoho.com. We're happy to send that picture.
Yeah.
Who drew this one? I know you guys draw all the time. Was it Lily or Margaret?
Might have been either of us. Probably me.
It was Lily. Okay.
Or probably Lily.
Yes, thank you, Lily.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll show this one. If you guys want to see it, we're happy to send a picture.
Yeah, I think we're just showing how the short rows are shaped centered over the S2KP.
Next question. Picking up the very last wrap and turn stitch, the one by the worker seems to be different. Can we demonstrate that? Yes, it is different. Oh, I should have had one ready for that section. I'm not sure if we can do that one right now, but we can definitely show that next time because it is. It's a purl wrap picked up on the knit side.
Yeah, that one I make use of my left needle in that one, and I pick the wrap up and put it on my needle. And you may have to pick it up, put it on your needle, knit two together to resolve that wrap, or undo it and redo it just to kind of, fiddle with it until you're happy with how the stitch lays. The good news is it's at the very back of the cowl, at the very base. So it's likely that there's either fabric bunching over it when the cowl is worn, or hair, or the top of your shirt or jacket. So it's not very visible if it is kind of weird looking, but I just make use of putting the wrap on my needle to help figure that one out.
Yeah, and that's that section where the hole appears, so you can cinch it in afterwards if it looks funny.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also the garter ridges right there too, from the bottom edge of the cowl. So it could just be a shadow in the garter ridges. You can omit that, picking up that wrap if you so choose. Yeah.
We have a duplicate stitch question. With a letter like a J, would you center the long leg of the letter or the middle of the hook of the J? So that's a good question.
That is a good question. This is one where I would definitely use graph paper to help lay it out and, chart it out and then cut out the actual design and then lay it and just see which one you like best. Because at the end of the day, it's personal preference. I would probably center it over the center of the grid on which the J is charted and not the center like up and down post of the J, just to help make the actual true center of the J. Think of the J as if it was a 0, right? And then the center of that, that's where I would center on your cowl.
Yeah, I think that's a good one to put on above the S2KP line that you were showing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. If you're using the larger needle with the bind off, are you going up 1 or 2 sizes? What do you recommend?
I was using 2 sizes larger because I didn't have 1 size larger, like a free and available. So I think it just depends on how much stretch you want. If you want it to be extra stretchy, use 2 sizes larger. If you want it to be just a little bit more stretchy, use 1 size larger. And if you're not too concerned about it, use the same size. It'll all be okay.
I like to do just 1, but if it's something that's really, really tight, but I feel like 1 has been enough for me when I've been doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be just fine.
But yeah, you shouldn't have to buy a whole nother needle just to
no.
So whatever you have should be fine.
Yeah.
I've also just done it with the same needle that I have and just given it a little extra slack when I am purling off.
Yeah.
And that's worked out fine too. So you don't have to go up at all.
No, just use a looser tension.
Oh, would you kindly show both sides of the decreases? Yes, this is one we were like wondering if anyone was going to ask us about because they do look different. The knit 2 together and the SSKs.
I can show that.
You want to?
Yeah. All right. So my handy dandy purple cowl. This side is the S2 KPs. Let's zoom in here. These look a little bit more like steps, and then the knit 2 togethers look more like a straight line. However, we have had luck in the past using a spare needle to kind of tug on the stitches and move the slack around so that that's in more of a line. So like this one, you can just kind of tug on that, and now they're all in a line. I just haven't done it for this cowl yet, but you can really see right here is a line, and then we go back to steps. So yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like blocking helps. Like after you readjust
of course,
it, just really always blocking is the magic.
Yes,
that helps it look not as different from each side.
It smooths everything out. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, my S2KP point isn't as sharp and clear as yours looks. Maybe I need to tug tighter when completing that stitch.
Yeah, actually, that's a good question.
Yeah, and I also feel like one thing I noticed when I first did mine, I was doing 1 at a time. I wasn't doing it 2 together like Juliana showed. And then I noticed once I did the 2 together, it became a lot more definable. So I think that's another thing that is what really gets that point.
Yep, slipping those 2 stitches together. It's called S2, so it means you slip 2 together instead of slip 1, slip 2. That's how I remember it.
Yeah, and so I think there's a difference. Let me see if I can.
Slipping those 2 stitches together will position the legs of that second slip stitch to lay in the stockinette looking V-shape stitch.
I'm going to show the difference between when I did it to slip 1 versus when I did it slip 2 together.
Yeah. It looks more like a raised ridge almost when you slip it one at a time.
So I'm gonna do. So this was the very first one. And yeah, it's like you can't really see the V's. It's like you said, more of a raised ridge.
Yeah.
And I did it 1 at a time, whereas this one is the clear V's.
Yep.
And
that's so awesome to show. Yeah, absolutely.
The difference. Okay. Let me see. Do you want to read?
What other questions do we have?
Oh, could also get it sharper with blocking.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yes, you could.
Yep.
Depending on which one you did. I do like to pull mine a little tighter there, so you could also tug tighter, like in the original question.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I've seen some things in the chat, but that aren't on the master list. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna go, when you are done with the project and weaving in ends, how many stitches do you use to very end? That's another one I think we can talk about, weaving in the ends and the kind of the last hurrah that we're gonna have the next meeting.
Yeah.
But maybe, Gianna, do you happen to have the tutorial for weaving in ends? Because there are a whole bunch of different ways to do it. Thank you, Gianna.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that just depends on how much yarn you have left. Sometimes you don't have enough to weave it through as many stitches as you'd like, but I normally do up maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches and back down 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches, and that will really help secure that tail. Plenty is so fluffy that when you block it, it'll just grip right in there. So you should be good.
Yeah, I like to do about an inch in each direction 3 times, about that much.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's see if there are any others. I think we may have answered all the questions that were copy paste. I'm gonna just double check the chat real quick. I looked at all your photos on Instagram. No men wearing it. I've had my husband try it on, and he has a pretty big head. It fits over his head. So you can, it definitely fits them. I'll take a picture. I'll put it up there.
Yeah. We'll add to that list.
I'll add that. You can see him next time. But no, it's pretty generous, I feel like, at the top. So it can definitely fit a man. If he has a little more, we could talk next time, like I said, about how to adjust it and modify it just for
if you want to knit a larger size. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Is it time to show and tell?
I think it's show and tell
what people are knitting.
Yes.
Oh, I can't wait. All right. Let's see. I think.
All right.
Please. Yeah. If you want to share,
raise your hand.
Yeah.
That lets me know. Just we can bring you on up if you'd like to share again. Anything we're working on, talk about your project. Looks like we have Tracy coming up first.
Oh,
I think you muted Tracy. Oh, I feel like I saw you last time.
There we go.
I try to. I get on here all the time. I work
from
home, so I Zoom with everybody, so I can see everybody and see people. I did a dark. This is my favorite. This is my favorite color.
Yes, it's beautiful.
So I'm going to make one for each of the girls I work with. So I've got this one done, and I did a wine colored one.
Oh, beautiful.
And I think I bought, when you put the second coupon up for the Plenty. The other one. I bought 5 more balls, 5 more speed. So I'm just gonna make them for Christmas presents all over.
Oh, awesome.
Plenty. I was the one asking about the J too. I've got like 3 people I need to put a J on for. So
yeah, centering it as if it was like a 0 or a circle, I think will really help to find the true center of the J and then position it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. This was a great. I love this. This and the arch mittens are my Christmas presents. I like that arch gusset. That's so easy to do that. That's
those are amazing.
The easiest mitten pattern I've ever seen. I love your patterns. I'm donating all my other yarn to place down the street, a retirement home down the street, and I've been just buying your kits. So I cleaned out my yarn, all my yarns. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for sharing.
All right, who's next? Anybody else want to share?
Let's see, we have as many today. No other takers. That's okay. If not, I just want to make sure we left any.
Yeah,
a bunch of time for that. All right.
Well,
I think that's it.
I think so too. Share. Shout out to Tracy.
Yes, thank you for being brave. All right then. So let me just double check to see if there's any last minute questions then. Oh, will we meet same time next week? Oh, okay. Yes, December 1st is going to be our next one, which we'll talk about.
Oh, so we have someone that's raising their hand.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, Margaret. Another Margaret.
Oh, I think you're muted still. Hang on just a second. I don't know. There we go.
Ooh.
And I used yarn that I bought from a friend who has her own alpaca mill.
Oh, wonderful.
Ooh, so that's a nice friend.
I had to try it, and I love the feeling in it, and I love the idea of the bandana that you can just flip on and never mind the tying. So this is going to be a great idea for gifts for Christmas. And I love your Purl Soho yarns. I made a sweater out of the linen and wool blend. I can't remember the name of it right now. Quill.
Linen quill. Yes.
Linen quill. I love that sweater. I love the colors. And so more to come on those yarns. So thank you so much for hosting this. And it was a good way to get me inspired to get going for holidays.
Yes.
We're glad to hear it. Yeah, we all need some, energy right now to get those Christmas gifts knitted.
I know.
Awesome.
I didn't pay attention to the gauge too much. I just figured if I could get it over my head, I was doing good.
Yep.
And I think next time I will do it a little differently, because I like a little bit more garter stitch at the top perhaps than I did, because this yarn I think is a little lighter weight than what you were using. So
yeah.
Anyway.
But I like the slouched look. I think it looks
Absolutely.
really, really fashionable.
Really nice and warm. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. We're so glad you're enjoying it. Thank you for sharing.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I see Lily, do you have your hand up? Is that on purpose? Oh, okay. Come on down, Lily.
Hi, so I'm Lily from the customer service team, and I just wanted to share my bandana cowl that I'm working on, because I'm doing kind of a fun modification that I thought people might be interested in seeing, because it's not one of the ones that we talk about in the pattern itself. And so what I'm doing is, well, I haven't finished it yet, but I'm adding a pocket right in the center. And so I actually have no idea if this is going to turn out well, because as you can see, I'm only in the process of doing it. But essentially what I did is this is a technique that we use in some of our sock patterns. It's pretty common to see in sock patterns for like adding a heel. And so what I did was just knit across this section of stitches with some scrap yarn, then slip them back onto my right needle, and then knit across the scrap yarn stitches with my normal yarn again. And eventually what I'm going to do is pick up the stitches all around the scrap yarn, remove the scrap yarn, and then knit in a little pocket in the round. And hopefully it'll work. I think it should be pretty cool. But yeah, I just want to share that.
I love that idea so much.
Oh man, this just like put a little quarter, get on the bus.
It'd be very useful.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Oh, that's amazing. Is
Lily.
Is the pocket going to go behind the cowl? Like,
yes.
Yeah,
I'll like knit it probably on the right side, but then kind of push it back through so it hangs in the back, and maybe knit a little flap. I don't know. I haven't decided everything yet.
Oh, I'm so curious. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Lily, for sharing.
Yeah,
that's so inspiring.
Thank you. All right. And with that, we're going to, did not mean to do that. I did not mean to stop your video. With that, we're going to get ready to wrap up. I can't believe we're already halfway through the knit along. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Just a reminder that this is recorded. We'll put it up as soon as it's edited, add the logo and all the bells and whistles. And we like to include timestamps so you can go back and see when we talked about each item. If you're not already subscribed, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which Gianna will put in the chat again. And there will be a little alert and notification. One pops up on my phone that just says it's up. So you can watch it there.
Our next Zoom and Knit will be on December 1st at 6 p.m. It'll be our finished cowl party. So wear your finished cowls, bring your finished cowls, bring that number of how many you've made. We want to hear it all. We're going to be sending a newsletter ahead of time so you can sign up for that. And I think it's actually available on our website right now to sign up for if you're interested in signing up already. So we're looking forward to it.
Yes, and as always, up until December 1st and even past that, we're always here for questions. We've done quite a few one-on-one project helps already, so we're happy to do those just to like make sure you have any questions that gets answered one-on-one. You can have the link for that. You can reach out to us via email. We monitor both inboxes, customer service at purlsoho.com and knit-along at purlservice.com. Oh my goodness, purlsoho.com. And as always, you can also tag us on Instagram, upload to the landing page. We love to see it. We're approving things. You get the entries.
Yeah,
it's all good fun. We're excited for the last one.
Absolutely.
Want to
We
talk
have-
about the giveaways?
I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah.
uploading your photo to our landing page or tagging your photo hashtag Purl Soho KAL on Instagram will get you another entry into our giveaway. You're entered just by signing up, but it would be fun to see your cowls progress, and we'd love seeing all the progress photos. And you can also email them to us at knitalong@purlsoho.com. That's another way to enter if you don't do Instagram or just prefer to do it that way. So we're excited to see you.
I have seen questions on YouTube and Ravelry and other places. The only way to actually enter the giveaway is, like Margaret said, either the landing page, the Instagram page, or submitting a photo to knitalong@purlsoho.com.
Absolutely.
So we hope to see you there, and we hope to share some more cool ones next time.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us today. We really, really appreciate you all being here and supporting us and knitting along with us. We love seeing your calls. And thank you to my co-host Jaja for being a total legend.
Thank you, Margaret, for hopping on and co-hosting with me this time.
Oh, of course. It was so fun. I'm glad we could all see you here, and we'll see you next time, guys.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.